Anyway, moving on to exactly that. Part 2, crushes.
Okay. So here we are, talking about crushes. More specifically mine. To me, just to kind of define what I say a crush is, I have different types of crushes.
Okay.
There's what I call a major crush, where it's a girl that I know I like for who she is. She's cute and all the little fixings. Those I can call the
Little
major
fixin'?
Then there are just generic crushes, which I call are based purely mainly on looks. Or physical crushes, however you want to look at it. But I call them general crushes. And then I have what I call mini crushes. M-I-N-I, as in small ones. Those are the ones
you had to spell it out?
Yes, because it could sound like I said mini as in M-A-N-Y. Because I say it the same way.
Okay.
Mini and mini is very distinct difference to how I pronounce it. Just like how you don't like the way I pronounce a certain condiment.
Mm-hmm. It's an E, not an A.
That's what okay. Crush. Which is also funny because it sounds like the word many as in M-A-N-Y, like multiples. So but because I have a lot.
Why was I thinking about Minnie Mouse?
How would you like to date this chick?
I literally just spelled.
You had to spell it out?
Yes, because it could sound like I said mini as in M-A-N-Y. Because I say it the same way.
Thinking about something she said, did, or act like a celebrity, for example. Like, it's just a curious thing, but not really anything serious because I don't know you personally. I don't have real major crushes on people I don't know. It's always on people I know that's major. Anything else is just purely based on looks. So, throughout my life, I've had my fair share of general crushes and mini crushes. And I've had about maybe like 2 major crushes. Maybe. One that comes to mind at this moment. I can't think if I've had another one. Yeah.
I like how I didn't edit that out.
I had a couple, but I guess I should have had a subset of the major crush. But anyway. So
I could have edited all that and had this scripted.
The point of me talking about this is that with every single time I've had a crush on any female, it's always been usually fleeting, except for the one major crush I've ever had in my entire life. The other semi-major crushes I've had, they were strong, but not strong enough for me to dwell on it for more than maybe a month at most. But, okay, now I remember the other one I was thinking about. Okay, yeah, I have had 2. But the second one was still fleeting once I came to my senses.
I love that.
Unhealthy probably about time, but it wasn't too unhealthy in my opinion. But anyway.
Of course I would say that.
So, yeah, I have many little crushes over the years. I've had girls like, wow, she's really cute. And liked her, but I didn't pursue anything because it's a waste of my time, hers, and also I was young. So, exactly. And then just to give a little background, my parents are divorced, so I don't have the most healthiest outlook on relationships as it is. So I just figured, what's the point? So, and then when it comes to my major crushes, the ones we're actually going to spend the bulk of this video talking about.
Oh, okay.
First we're going to talk about the second one. We're going to swing back to the first one. The second one was in high school, and the girl, when I saw her smile, my heart went a-fluttering.
By the way, this is not talking about you.
Unfortunately for me,
I was about to say,
my mind was more like, wow, this seemed like a cool kid. Which,
for once, you're not talking about me.
The perspective you want when you like someone. You want them to think, oh, I want to date you too. But that was not the perspective she had. Unfortunately for me, my crushing feelings, or whatever you want to call them, were made very obvious and plain when I basically bought her a Build-A-Bear and chocolate when she told me she was feeling sad about something going on in her family. And mind you, we've only known each other for about a week. Yeah, that's pretty sad, right? So,
wow!
I
told you, I'll be spending money on people for no reason.
To sort of get the Build-A-Bear, she's like, you know this girl? Is she your girlfriend?
You wanted to marry me after 4 months.
I've only known her for like a week.
More than a week.
For a very short period of time, and then she was like, no, she's not my girlfriend, she's just a friend. Because that is the honest truth. We are just friends. And so I bought her that, but my mother was a little bit like, my son's about to get heartbroken. I feel like that was what was in her mind based on her facial expression and hindsight talking to her. So, but I didn't hindsight 2020. I was like, hey, I like this chick. I don't care what the outcome is. I prefer a relationship, but hey, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So after talking to her and interacting with her and everything, it became very apparent that I liked her. And she informed me that she did not feel the same way. Oh. So, yeah, that was a bit crushing, hence the term crush.
Yep.
So,
love it.
Through that, I realized, well, that's just life. It's just another example of why I should be single. Because my crush does not return my feelings. And then now to the first major crush, and the number one major crush I've ever had in my entire life is my childhood crush. Oh. I was living in Hawaii. The most beautiful place I've ever lived. Sorry. But anyway, she was the most amazing person one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my entire freaking life. Granted, I haven't seen her in forever, like legit, I haven't seen her since 4th grade, so she might have changed a lot since then. I'd have no idea. Legit, I know very little. Like, I message her every once in a while, we talk every once in a while, but I really don't know like how much her personality is different from back then, how much I'm just holding on to nostalgia of the place I used to live and how happy I was as a child and all that jazz. So it could be all just a fantasy in my head at this point, and then I see her or meet her again and I'm just like, wow, I had a major crush on you for basically 90% of my life, and this is not what I thought seeing you again would be like. Anyway, who's to freaking say? So with that in mind, I met her, like I said, and I met her in 2nd grade in Hawaii. Loved every moment I spent with her. Honestly, one of the few people in the world I can honestly say I've never had an annoyed moment with her. Like most people, I've had some moment around them where I was annoyed or upset, and there goes the lawnmower again. Oh well, we lasted a nice bit of time.
Also, that's not really almost a leaf blower. I realized that afterwards.
But as I was saying, so with that in mind, I just thought, she's cool. She's a bit of a tomboy. She's a pretty cool person. I like hanging out with her. She's cute. Yeah, I would like to pursue something with her. But again, we were in elementary school. And this is pretty fresh out my parents' divorce. So I had no confidence in relationships at this time. So really what I wanted was just to have her in my life forever and ever. Which I know in some degree is like, isn't that just basically a marriage if you want to spend the rest of your life with someone? Yeah, basically, I want to be married to her, but not literally by the concepts of my own mind. I just knew that that's what I wanted at the time. And I didn't know any other way to express those feelings other than maybe using the L-O-V-E word. But I was like, yeah. Which I did actually say those words to her, by the way. And they were reciprocated, which is the most beautiful thing I can actually say have ever happened in a relationship, is having those words be reciprocated. But, again, nothing came of that because we were in elementary school and I was still fresh out of a parental divorce, so I had no confidence in relationships on that degree. So as long as I had her in my life, I was happy. But unfortunately, being a child of divorce and a military child, moving was inevitable, especially when your parents have joint custody. So, yeah. So the whole moving back and forth. So when I moved from Hawaii, it was the only move I can think of that I've ever cried.
Yep.
Because one, I lost her and my other childhood best friend, but that's just a side note. Not the point of the video. But yeah, losing her and I bawled my eyes out. And my mother told me that if I didn't want to go, I could actually stay. Because this was during the time frame when my dad's turn to have custody or watch me or whatever you want to say. She said if I didn't want to go, I didn't have to. Which always a part of me is like, man, why didn't I choose to stay in Hawaii? You idiot. But if I didn't do that, then I would have met my best friend that's in the other room. So, yeah, you gotta take the good with the bad. And plus, I learned a lot of things out here in the mainland, so I can't really get too mad. It's just as long as like, gosh darn it, Devin, you could have came here later or never, preferably never. Anyway, so back to
this was before you, so before you and I got back together, so it was like it never seemed like a better option.
Anyway, back to the
didn't want to have my heart broken by this either.
So, but yeah, so after that situation kind of flumped, I kind of had no interest. Like I said, parents divorced, losing my number one major crush, and I just didn't want to pursue anything. And part of me was kind of holding out on this weird mental idea that me and her would get together, which I should have known would never happen, because the fates don't work that way. Along with that, years later in high school, when me and her were talking one day, because I was still kind of holding out, like I said, for her, and she had pointed out that I should get used to the idea of being in a relationship, which in my mind is like, can I get used to that idea with you? Like, I don't remember if I actually said that to her, but I do remember her saying something on the lines of like she didn't want to start our relationship on a long distance thing, or she doesn't believe in long distance, something like that. So I'm like, okay, well, she gave me the advice to go and pursue, and she doesn't want to start long distance. So I guess I have no choice. So in that moment, I finally was like, okay, I might actually allow myself to be in a relationship. Because apparently that's the only way I'm going to get used to the idea of being a... Because I always said that I'm so used to being a me, how the heck am I supposed to get used to being a we? But I guess that's just
Classic.
And after trying that, I come to the conclusion that it's not worth the trouble. But like I said, based on the crushes I've had over the years, from the small ones to the major ones and everything in between, it just, nothing ever comes out of a crush. At least for me personally, legit, every crush I've ever had, nothing came out of it. Rather, I didn't pursue, she didn't pursue, or whatever. Life just said no. So, first reason why I say that I shouldn't be single is because life says no to crushes.
No to crushes.
So life say no to crushes, the girls that I'm already interested in. But why the fuck should I give 2 F's about anything else? Exactly. So, get ready for
it
that is coming
from a camera.
Online dating. If you watch, see you there. Peace out.
Oh man, can't believe it. I forgot. Even back then, I used to do the whole thing a lot in my videos.
Well, I have one colleague friend. She's been with her now husband since 5th grade. They were dating in 5th grade and they just kept going to school together. So they eventually matured enough to want to officially like date and stuff. And now she has 9 kids.
Aw, sweet.
Yeah, and they're married and all that. I was like, wow, that's one of the real rare ones. Yeah.
That's nice. Could have been you and me. You didn't walk away.
I was terrified of commitment.
Okay.
Yet, you're the perfect person. I realize a soulmate. So, we live and we learn.
And I appreciate you giving us another shot and making it even more official.
Yes.
With the whole ring situation.
Yes. Forever.
All right. Isn't that fun?
Which part?
Just the videos, watching these videos saying how I was and how I thought about life and relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we got a whole other part to do another day.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys.
Elaborate, yeah.
I'm not elaborating. Anyway, of this little knucklehead here. Hope you enjoyed. We'll continue.
Good to see everyone again. Glad to be here. Always an honor.
We'll continue with some more of these, but we'll do that another day. Love you all. It's your boy BlazeNpi saying, UT. Here. Also, I noticed we did not go into, since you gave a little bit about your feelings about online dating, because you gave a lot of commentary there. How was your lifestyle with crushes, Miss, growing up?
My lifestyle with crushes, well, I'm going to tell it to you here. People in Georgia are not that attractive. They are not. And everywhere I went, the people that came up to me were either 40 or related to my mother, which just all around seems wrong. And then my mother, on the other hand, when I brought it up to her, this is her mutual friend. Oh, well, just go for it. I'm like, Mom, no, this is a mutual friend of yours close to your age. I'm not about to be intertwined with, no. And then after that, she said, oh yeah, I already hit that. No, that's an extra factor for me. I'm not, but we're not going to go into detail on that. My crushes, the point of asking.
Yeah, because you gave a lot of commentary about the online dating stuff, so I was curious, how it was like having crushes growing up. Did you have any that turned out well? bad? Were they always like scary to approach? Like, how was that one?
Many of my crushes, I ended up having to be the one to ask them, or hey, you seem to be interested. You seem to want to hang out with me a lot. Let's see if this works. So I've had 1, 2, 3 crushes. The one I had first was sophomore year. He was a JORTC student, but we got together. The friends that I had at the time while in high school threatened to kill me over the guy, saying I stole him from her, and she apparently wanted him in the first place. That's not my problem. Since when has that become my problem? He was going for me after me and him were hanging out. We had collaboration projects together. So of course, I went to meet his family and everything, because back then my parents had to know who I was with, where I was, things like that. So after a few moments and everything wasn't going as well as I wanted it to be, I said, we broke up. I broke it up. I always had to be the unfortunate one that has to break up the relationships. I've never been the dumped. But after I dumped him,
You okay?
yeah, I'm fine. After I dumped him, that was the first crazy. And he was a white male.
That's crazy.
The first crazy, because literally after I dated him, a few days to a week later, one of my mutual friends, mind you, this girl is 14 and he is 18 at the time.
Interesting.
No career, worked in his parents' auto shop. He decided a way to get me back, thought he could get me back by having sexual relations with one of my friends in the courtyard of the high school. And I was like,
That
interesting
makes
way to
sense.
think you could get me back like that, because the girl came to me saying that. She was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to hurt you, but it was his idea. Well, that's robbing the cradle, man. And I'm good. That's not a way to get me back. He ended up getting kicked out of school and going to jail. So no military opportunity. But the next one, what did the next one do? Oh yeah, the next one before you also was crazy, because we only met like one or two times, and it was in between halls and classes.
Mm-hmm.
And he had kissed me, and I'm like, huh? What?
Okay.
He was like, oh yeah, we're together now.
I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think that's how it works. So I was like, okay, I'm over here trying to focus on school. I'm like, whatever. If it sticks, it sticks. I grew to like him. He was into Minecraft, and at the time, I was obsessed with Minecraft, being a kid. So we would play Minecraft on the server and things like that. None of these people I went on a date with outside of the school premises. So it didn't make sense to me to pursue a relationship that you don't even hang out outside of school. That was another stupid crush. And then you, for whatever reason, the first time you talked to me, you were like, when we were at the table with all our friends, you're like, why can't y'all be like this girl? What's your name? Then I told you my name. And she's sitting here quiet, being chill, and y'all are, I forget what you said exactly, but you referenced me, and I was like, wow, he saw me. He saw me. I remember, but he saw me. That ignited me, and then you became my crush, so I started pursuing you. that led to the interrogation, the interview. And you just awkwardly standing in the middle of the hall like, is she trying to interview me for the position of a boyfriend? And I said, yeah. Yeah. So that happened.
You want to tell me how you did a whole background check on me among the teachers?
Oh yeah. I went to every teacher because I knew what classes you had. Don't ask how I knew. But
Stalker, guys.
no.
I married my stock.
And they're like, yeah, you're talking about Devin, right? Yes. You mean the Devin that has honor roll? He's an honor roll student. He does nothing but do his work and doesn't talk to nobody. Yes. Apparently I am. Is he a good guy to date? And it was like, yeah. He wouldn't harm a fly. I'm like, okay. So yeah, those are my three major crushes, and the best one was yours.
All right.
There
her celebrity crush is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes, it is. Always will be, but unfortunately, he's married and has kids. And then my college one, which was way crazier.
Oh my goodness.
It was so crazy. I was 19 at the time. The guy is 25, right? So
Okay.
He's a pastor's son. You know where that goes. Pastor's son is interested in books, politics, everything. He nailed the approval of my dad at the time, and I began to resent him because all the time he wanted to spend was with my father.
Wow.
And then after a long while of him and his antics, he came to me in the student lounge stuff where you're able to do your work and stuff. I'm in the middle of projects and everything, and I don't have time to talk to nobody. And he kept pushing and pushing, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time we break up. In front of everybody, I said that because he was pushing the wrong buttons for far too long. And when I visually look like I don't want to be talked to, or messed with, or I am in the middle of something, especially when it comes to schoolwork, I don't like to be messed with. I said, if you don't leave me alone now, I will get the police involved. And I did. That's when I befriended all the police staff and everything on campus because he would follow me around.
Oh, wow.
He would follow me around, and he got so upset when I broke up with him. Because his parents loved me. His older brother loved me. And he realized what he lost when I broke up the relationship. That seems to be the trend. I don't want to do any more breaking up. But yeah, you're the only one that I ever cried for. Or cried over.
Oh, my poor baby. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, on to past relationship. I do find it funny how every time you have to crush, you like, I'm getting this man. Me, I'm just like, oh, he's cute. Anyway, you're like, I'm getting this man.
Yeah, once you're a target, you're a target. And these girls that have always said they want to kill me for my intelligence and beauty, I'm over here confused. I'm just sitting, not wanting to be at school, but I'm here because it's necessary for life. And all that other stuff is pointless because we don't use half the math and things in this daily world. I know I'm on a tangent, but let me go forward.
Let her cook, guys.
Yeah.
As the kids say. Hopefully I used that right.
I think so. If not, it'll be fine. Insert looking for the correct words later. Yeah, my mother kept calling him son and my ex's son and everything, to the point where it got kind of creepy. Either way, I lost what I was going to say for the rest of it. It's fine.
All right. Anyway.